Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 100 of the All Dolphins podcast. And to celebrate the occasion, we're going to have all sorts of goodies on today's show. All sorts of, no, we're not. I'm just kidding. It's going to be the same old, which is basically Omar and Pupar talking Dolphins.
Hey, but this got to be a Braxton Berrios episode, right? First player to wear 0?
Oh, I guess. Sure. There you go, Braxton Berrios.
Like, hold on, wait a minute. That man's going to get cheated. He's only going to get one opportunity to be the episode.
About 200. We'll go back to Braxton Berrios. Actually, I was going to do, and in fact, and I forgot to look it up to confirm it. I was going to do Shula victory number 100, which I do believe was the biggest rout in Dolphin history, 52-0 against the New England Patriots in 1972 at the Orange Bowl. I'm going off the top of my head on this one. For some reason, I seem to think that might have been the one. Anyway, so that's the past. Let's talk about the present. It's Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th, which meant some bad luck when it comes to Connor Williams, right?
Dolphins defeated the San Diego Chargers 24-10 after quarterback Bob Greasy suffered a broken ankle. This was in 1972.
Correct. That was week 5. That was our 100th win?
Yes, it was. Become the first NFL coach to win 100 regular season games in 10 seasons. Ain't that something? Google is your friend.
Google is our friend. How about that? Yeah, and then Earl Morrall came in, who was like 39 years old at the time, and wound up, Dolphins never missed a beat. Okay, so Friday the 13th, bad luck for Connor Williams. Groin injury ruled out.
Bad luck?
I'm doing the Friday 13th, Omar. Come on, play along with me here.
Okay, all right, fine. We'll keep the Friday the 13th bad luck theme going.
Okay.
No black cats here. I know. Okay. Do you have a black cat?
No, they're both gray, brownish. And again, I'm colorblind, so what the hell color they are, I don't even know.
Oh, ain't that something?
Yeah.
Colorblind show by 2 people who are colorblind.
You're colorblind too?
Yes, I am. I do know that you have a blue behind you.
Actually, it's not even, it's some kind of shade of blue. And you have, it's white or beige?
I think it's white. My whole house is white.
Okay. Okay, this is off. We were off to a riveting start here. Connor Williams ruled out with a groin injury. Mike McDaniel said before practice he was not going to practice, that he was going to work out with a trainer, and then they were going to determine. And then McDaniel said the possibility existed that the player could play, that Williams could play even without practicing at all during the week. My experience, those instances are very, very, very few and far between. So,
and then he poo-pooed the idea shortly after when he basically ruled him inactive.
Correct. When he ruled him out. So Omar, you ready for Liam Eichenberg round 2?
The Eichenberg Express. Do I want another ride on the Eichenberg Express? No, but I will say this. I am, after talking to Eichenberg and listening to him and listening to his journey and struggles, which is something that I will put up on alldolphins.com today. Actually, you'll put it up. I'll send it in. I became a little bit more sympathetic. He said something that, and I said this to Mike McDaniel, all of the things that's going on at the center position, and I never thought about some of the things that Liam Eichenberg, as a new center in his first game snapping against the center, having to face the Buffalo Bills, I never thought that some of these things were such a significant factor. To quote Eichenberg, this is his teammates. What are we doing? Get me set. And then his response, give me a second. He's basically recapping his whole game experience at Buffalo, where he's got to look at the defense, identify what they're doing, make the call, determine what is the right protection call, and hope that him and the quarterback are on the same page. Then snap the ball, make sure the snap count is right, get on the right cadence. And then after all that, go block somebody or go run to your spot to open up a hole. And this is not an excuse for Liam Eichenberg. I think I sit at the very front of the line of people who have been critical of him probably since training camp. But it makes it a little bit more understandable. Now, the bottom line for me is go out there, get your job done, make sure that you're able to do your assignment without giving up 2 sacks. Make sure that you're able to play the game without getting your star left tackle hurt. And let's not commit penalties in scoring situations to get those points taken away.
Yeah, but that's going downfield. I'm not necessarily that.
Bro, that's like a nightmarish of a game. Tell me a worse offensive line game. 2 sacks, penalty that brings a touchdown back. Get your star lineman hurt.
The Giants left tackle gave up 3 sacks, got his quarterback hurt, couple of penalties, false starts on back-to-back plays. That was pretty bad. Here's the thing.
I guess it wasn't the quarterback that got hurt, so it could be worse.
See, there you go. I don't think the Dolphins are going to allow themselves to have a very promising season ruined by the fact that their backup center can't play. So I'm going to guess at some point Liam's going to have to convince them he can get the job done, because now, I mean, this is becoming a little problematic, worrisome with Connor Williams, where Mike McDaniel said it was not a new injury, but there was what was the phrasing he used? Like discomfort that he has more discomfort that he has to deal with.
It was residual. And this is what I found interesting, because remember last week, and we're probably going back into history a little bit. Last week, Mike McDaniel said he basically needed protection from Connor Williams, and joking but half serious, Connor Williams was adamant he was going to play. Okay, if you're the coach, what do? Well, you let him play. But then, according to Mike McDaniel, you knew there was going to be a residual effect to him actually playing. Mike McDaniel doesn't make those decisions generally, but obviously he felt like he had to keep Connor satisfied. Now you pay the consequences of that. Now, if the consequences are he plays every other game, or maybe to get to that game and to prevent a 2-game losing skid, even though I know everybody will say they weren't going to lose to the Giants, and I would argue you don't know that.
They weren't going to lose to the Giants. Go ahead.
You're going to say the same thing about Carolina this week,
Dude,
too.
they were -3 in turnover ratio, and they still won by 16. Sorry, 15. They weren't going to lose to the Giants.
All right. Anybody can get you on any given week in the NFL. Well, you will acknowledge that.
Sure. Just like the Broncos had a shot to get the Chiefs last night. How'd that work out? There are certain games, especially more so nowadays, I think, than maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The gap between like really, really bad teams and the good teams, to me, seems to be the haves and the have-nots is more clearly defined. And I don't know that you see those.
I think the Giants, it's unfair to call them a have-not. I think they're an injured, decimated team that's reeling.
Which rendered them a have-not when you played them. I'm not saying that they came in as a horrible team, but the team they fielded last Sunday, minus 3/5 of their offensive line, minus Saquon Barkley, that was not a good team.
Correct. Okay, that's fair. But getting back to the topic, I'm okay with riding the Eichenberg Express. I do believe that center is his future position.
If he has one.
He'll be in the NFL. He's a 2nd-round pick. He'll be in the NFL for at least about another 4 years unless he quits. The question is where. He's not a tackle. He's a guard. And if he could play center, he could probably play another 10 years. So I think that it benefit him to learn how to play center. And keep in mind, the price of Connor Williams continues to escalate. Even though he's injured right now, you clearly see the difference with him than without him. And now we'll possibly see the difference without him again against a team that maybe Eichenberg can help you. I don't think Carolina has the Buffalo Bills defensive line. So I think you'll be all right.
But again, you're talking about his price tag going up, but how much is it? Connor Williams is a great center, and he's a very good center. And how much of that is Liam right now as a novice at the position? I don't know that it's.
Well, I mean, I've seen Dan Feeney and I've seen Liam Eichenberg.
Dan Feeney had a bad knee the entire time he was with the Dolphins. I mean, let's be fair to the dude. Okay.
He wasn't very good though.
My thing with Connor Williams is groins tend to linger. It's one of those like shut the dude down for 3 weeks if you have to. If you have to get that thing taken care of to where it's not an issue.
So you're saying this is not the only week, and that's something that I kind of picked up from Mike McDaniel, just talking to him at today's press conference. This sounds like something that we're going to shut him down so it's not a problem in December, January, and February.
No, you're building towards something potentially big. And again, keep the big picture in mind. It'd be great to beat the Eagles next week, without question. But do you want to be peaking now? Or do you want to be peaking in December and January? I would rather be peaking later in the season. So, and then again, with a lot of the roster, ideally, when you're done in the stretch, you're going to have Armstead back, you're going to have Jalen Ramsey back, and then it'd be nice to have a Connor Williams fully healthy, as opposed to still dragging a little bit because you didn't want to make the sacrifice of sitting him a few games. So that's how I would operate. The other interesting from the final injury report that came out is Jeff Wilson. After all this talk of, man, he looks great, he's ready to go, he's going to go, boom, doubtful. Okay.
Is that what you took from it? Doubtful? You're scared a little doubtful?
Am I scared of doubtful? Doubtful in 2023. Doubtful usually means he ain't playing. And I don't know if he had some sort of setback at practice, but again, all the comments, Frank Smith, Mike McDaniel was like, they love the way he's working. It's looking great. They look ready to play. Yes. And now it's doubtful.
The thing is, there's one spot that's available that's open, and Mike McDaniel said basically, who does it go to? And we kind of have here are your choices. It was Jeff Wilson. It was Nick Needham,
who's also doubtful.
Yes, and then it was Robert Jones. And where do you have need now? If you don't play any of those guys, and I watch Robert Jones, and it'd be a miracle if he was active, because I see the guy dragging around his leg all day. So,
except he's the only one of the three who's not listed as doubtful, is listed as questionable.
Hey man, if you could play at so you're saying that the organization is providing us a hint here?
No, what I'm saying is, because you're saying he's moving around like he doesn't look like he's ready to play, and I'm just pointing out he's the only one who's questionable there to adopt. And you make a point though, they don't have to fill the roster spot right now. They don't. I mean, there's no point in activating Robert Jones right now if he's going to be inactive anyway. They have another week to do that. To activate him or need him, they have another week. With Jeff Wilson, they have 2 more weeks.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying we keep that roster spot open and available?
I'm saying if Robert Jones is not ready to play, there's no need to go ahead and fill it now. Not going anywhere.
Maybe he is. Maybe it's just my imagination that this guy's dragging around his leg. I would say, especially when you look at the Robert Hunt and the knee injury that he suffered early in the week, and I know he basically was ruled as no status. But I will tell you, I didn't see Robert in the locker room, which is an abnormality. So hopefully him and Braxton Berrios are healthy. They're both guys battling knee issues. What do you do there? If you say they do nothing, maybe that's intriguing. And especially with the trade deadline coming up in 17 days, 18 days, I'm like, you got my brain percolating over here. Like, what do you do with an extra roster spot?
Oh, they'll fill it at some point. I'm just saying, I don't think it needs to be now. I mean, I think at some point they're going to pull the trigger on either Jones or Needham. Like I am like pretty strongly of the belief that Robert Jones will be activated at some point. If you were to ask me about Nick Needham right now, I don't think there's a guarantee that he gets activated. You might wind up playing the whole year on PUP.
Are you serious?
That's what I just said. I think it's 50-50 he ever gets activated this year. I don't think it's a slam dunk. Wow. Never thought about it.
Nah.
I mean, he's a good, solid depth piece. Is he a difference maker in the secondary? Sorry, no.
And in fact, he's playing safety now, so that means that you're basically competing with Brandon Jones and
Elijah Campbell. And if you activate him, that means that somebody else has to go off the roster. That's the thing. because at some point they're not going to have any more open roster spots. So
no, they're kind of up against the wall.
yeah, your comment about Hunt is interesting, except he was listed as full participant in practice, no game status designation, meaning he's good to go.
Okay, that technically just means you didn't have treatment.
But no game status designation means you're good to go.
Yes. I mean, we knew Robert Hunt was going to play. Robert Hunt, I don't think Robert Hunt's missed an NFL game.
I'm glad you knew that, because I didn't know nobody knew the extent of the injury yesterday. Although you saw him in the locker room, you said he looked fine.
Yeah.
Von Achane, you also thought Von Achane looked fine after the game on Sunday.
Yeah. But he would then I saw him Wednesday. He's dragging his leg.
Correct, but that's 3 days after the fact. So.
What do you do with Jalen Phillips? Obviously, it's a situation where he wasn't healthy, probably couldn't do last week what he needs to do physically in order to bend mobility, set the edge, especially with the back and oblique issue. Do you think that this is a situation where they rest him another week, or do you think that this is, you've sort of tested his patience as much as you can, and now it's time to unleash him?
I don't know how to say this without being rude, but don't really care about players' patience, to be honest with you. I mean, seriously, there's a bigger goal here. And I'm going to go back to what I said about Connor Williams. The bigger goal is December, January. No need to bring Jalen Phillips back because he really wants to play. And then having deal with that kind of issue that he's dealing with, which is another thing that could linger. So make sure he's completely right before you put him back in there.
And damn, you're like making me reconsider my thought processes here. And it's true, because if you talk to this team, they're thinking about February. They're not thinking about Sunday, and can't argue. They're not overlooking their opponent. They're just focused on their ultimate goal. I love it's not about who we play. It's about us being at our best and peaking at the right time. And I love that. You hear that all week. And, hey, never heard anything like that in my career covering the Dolphins. Sorry.
Then I'll give you another one as a comparison. If you're a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, are you not worried that they're peaking too soon? I mean, how much better can they play? I mean, they've been a complete joke so far. It's like, where do they take their game from here?
Hey, better motions, crisper execution. I think they can definitely take their game. But those who know me know I've loved that style of football. I love that brand of offense. I'm glad it's here. I'm glad people finally see it, and the value of a run game and the value of the wide zone. It's magnificent.
Can I make a point here? And I'm treading into dangerous territory here, but there's a point I want to make here.
Is there a quarterback behind you in your head? Like move your head to the left.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. Google it.
Go ahead.
The topic of the Dolphin running backs and the whole talking points the whole week was like, well, it's a good thing the Dolphins have all this great depth at running back. And I can't go back and I laugh because what is it, a month ago? Everybody's talking about like, sure, they have a lot of guys at running back, but they don't have a guy at running back. This is why we're going to investigate Dalvin Cook. We're going to investigate the hell's the other one? Jonathan Taylor in the offseason. We're going to investigate Barkley. All of a sudden now they have nothing but studs at running back. How's about maybe the running backs are doing the job? They were always all serviceable running backs who are benefiting again from the offense operating at peak efficiency with the motion, with the speed, with all the space that's being created, as opposed to all of a sudden the Dolphins have all these great running backs.
I don't disagree with you. I think something Mike McDaniel said today where he basically said, I feel like all my running backs could be NFL starters. And I'm not arguing against that because I actually do share that opinion as well. I will agree with you from this standpoint. What you're seeing now, the number one rushing attack in the NFL, where they're like nearly 40 damn yards better than the next team, is a byproduct of not Devon Achane. It's a byproduct of what the offensive line is doing and the scheme actually hitting. And it looks magnificent. Now, my hope is that the Eichenberg Express doesn't derail it, and it continues. It doesn't have to be number one by 40 yards, but it could still. Let's hope it be still top 5. The Jeff Wilson not being doubtful surprises me a little, but it doesn't, because I know that they want to be cautious. But then again, you know what? You put Devon Achane out there and you didn't know what to expect. Who's to say you're not going to get a comparable or desirable result if you put Chris Brooks out there? This is based on what guy, and same thing with Salvon Ahmed. I'm a fan. I like what he's doing. He's earned my respect. At the time, he was the number 2 back before Devon blew up. And when Devon blew up, there was absolutely no turning back. But don't you think that a young guy who sees what a peer that you were outperforming did in the NFL will entice you to say, because I used to look at Devon in the locker room when, I'm not Devon, Savon in the locker room when Devon was going off, and think to myself, and I even remember telling Perk this, I was like, man, that guy must be looking at Devon like, God, dog, that could have been me. And
not only that, he's thinking too is, I get in there, I better make something happen. Otherwise, when that kid comes back, I'm back to riding the bench.
That is exactly. If he would have had, because right now, let's be honest, because that's who we are. Savon is a fringe NFL player. If the Miami Dolphins cut him tomorrow, I'm not absolutely certain somebody's going to say, God damn it, Savon's on the market.
Whoa. Time out. I thought you just said that all the Dolphin running backs could be starters on other teams.
They could.
But now you're saying that Salvon Ahmed get cuts tomorrow.
But I'm just saying, because people aren't really smart in the NFL. These people who run the NFL teams, they're not really bright. So I'm not thinking that they'll say, oh man, we got to go claim that guy. I think he would get claimed, but think about if you had the start that Savon had, that just had performed the way Savon had performed, or even half of what Savon had performed. Man, you'd be in the NFL for like 4 years. Nobody can take that away from you. So yes, he's going to look at this as a tremendous opportunity, and I think that this is exactly what it is. He's back to that number 2 spot. He's going to get Savon's plays, which were his plays initially, and he's going to have to max out every single opportunity because he's still a fringe NFL player. And I'm excited about that.
Of that, we can agree. And yeah, I'm not sure about this whole, all the running could be starters. Chris Brooks is not starting somewhere else. Well, as much as I like.
You put every media member's hand to a Bible. I know you're, Move
on. Go ahead.
You put every media member's hand to a Bible and make them testify who was the better running back in training camp in the preseason.
Oh, yeah.
And to a man, everybody would say Salvon Ahmed over Devon Achane.
Agreed.
Correct?
Absolutely. Without question.
So now that could have been, he didn't know what he was doing, but now Savon gets that opportunity to go prove it.
Yep. And an important point to make heading into this game against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, their run defense sucks. 26th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game, 28th in rushing yards allowed per carry at like 4.6 or 4.86 or something. So certainly the stage is set for the running game to have another productive outing. But speaking of Carolina, after yesterday on a Thursday not having either Derek Brown or Brian Burns at practice, both of them practiced on Friday. In fact, one of them, Burns, I want to say, was a full participant. Both of them are listed as questionable, but they're out 6 players, including 2 of the 3 guys who started as safety for them last week, or Von Bell and Xavier Woods. So they're not completely unscathed for the Dolphins. We should mention Alec Kingold, also listed as questionable.
With the foot.
And obviously Jalen Phillips is questionable. And if Ingold can't play, I mean, to me, it'd be like some H-back snaps for Chris Brooks, Julian Hill, or Durham Smythe, one of those things. That's how they'll compensate for that.
Number 2 tight end would be Julian, and maybe Tyler Croft gets some number 1 tight ends with Durham going to that H-back role. I also think that we're going to see some Charles, some Claypool, some.
I was going to ask you about your gut feeling on that. You think he plays, and if so, how much?
I think a very minimal role. I think you'll have a small, digestible playbook. And I think you'll primarily be asked to, let's see what you can do as a blocker. Let's see how much you're willing to sacrifice for this team to see whether or not we can continue this investment. Because if you don't do the little things, sorry, brother, but you're not going to play. If Tyreek's got to be downfield blocking 10 yards, putting up some monster blocks, you got to as well. And in fact, as Tyreek called them, the vending machine. If he can't help you as a blocker, something's wrong. Because Miami's got wide receivers who are 5'10", 180 pounds out there blocking like ferocious pit bulls. And if you at 6'4", 240 pounds can't help in that same accord, yeah, we got no use for you. So I think he's going to have to earn his stripes as a blocker. Maybe they throw him a red zone play or two.
Stole my thunder here. Damn it. You kept going and going and going, and you stole my. And for me, it's not red zone. It's like goal to go, 5-yard line. Second and go from the 5. Here comes Claypool, throw him an alley-oop. Go get it over the DB. Because I don't believe the 2 starting corners for Carolina are CJ Henderson and Dante Jackson. I don't believe either one of them is over 6'2". So advantage Claypool there.
Let me ask you this question here, because this is the important question. What receiver is inactive?
If Claypool plays, yeah, I think it's got to be your dude. Sorry, it's got to be your dude. I think it's got
against his former team.
Against his former team. If Claypool plays, yeah, I mean, you're gonna. After all the praise that McDaniel threw Cedric Wilson Jr.'s way last week, we're gonna make him inactive because you know it ain't Hill and you know it ain't Waddle and you know it ain't Berrios. 3, who am I missing?
See, but hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, I understand that Cedric Wilson does your backup punt stuff, and especially with Braxton Berrios and that knee issue, I know it's a factor. Okay. I
hadn't thought about that. Good point.
I'm putting that on the table. Okay. However, let me argue this to you. With Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you know they're the guys who make this offense go and their ability to stretch the field. Okay. Don't you need that third guy to stretch the field just in case?
By the way, how was it you phrased that again? Repeat that again.
With their ability to stretch the field.
No, the other part about making the offense go. I believe you said they make the offense go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They make the offense go by stretching the field. The field is stretched. Oh, don't get my words twisted. As I've said to you,
verbatim, you said they make the offense go.
Did
you say that?
Okay. They create the framework for the offense by stretching the field vertically, and then there's the run game that stretches the field horizontally. The conductor of all of this stretching and carving up is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, does this offense work without Tua Tagovailoa? You say yes, I say no. That's a discussion where we will have a caged steel match during the bye week where we will present our argument because clearly, damn it, you don't give a certain individual the respect that he's due as the conductor, because I argue that it does not work without him.
Not true. Okay, but go ahead. I give the man his props all the time. I may not give him as many props as you'd like me to, but I give the man his props. Go ahead.
I'm not doing that. I don't need you to praise him at every possible turn. Okay. But what I'm saying is something happened to Tyreek. One, you can't tell me that I know cheaters don't get hurt, but I've seen Tyreek limping around way too much to not think that, hey, he needs to be on a pitch count. And then Jalen Waddle, is always working his way back from something. I need that third guy, that third spacer out there. So I'm going to make my argument that, hey, it don't work without that third spacer. And you countered that argument with?
You make a valid point. That's how I counter your argument. And I'm thinking here, is it possible maybe they go 6 wide receivers active, which is a very high number, but if you're looking at if Williams being out, Keon Smith being inactive, for example, would be another one. I'm trying to do the numbers in my head, and I'd have to have a roster in front of me to do that. Yeah, I could see that, but so under your scenario, do you have 5 or 6 wide receivers active? And you're sitting Cedric Wilson?
I'm sitting Cedric Wilson because I think somebody can handle my punt return duties. Literally, it's what, 5 snaps a game, if at the worst.
Yeah, but who on the rosters? I mean, obviously,
come on.
Waddle have done it, but do you really want him back there?
Javon Holland, Jalen Waddle, what's his name? Tyreek Hill.
Do you want any of them returning punts?
Not really, but I don't want to sit Robbie Chosen against his former team that he's got plenty to prove against. You know how Mike McDaniel works.
I don't know. Again, I'd have to go back at the roster. I think, to me, it's more, and this is based on what McDaniel said about Cedric Wilson. To me, it's more likely that they keep 6 wide receivers, then they play Chosen, and they sit Wilson. This is under the assumption that Claypool plays.
I'm at the point where I'm not playing Chase Claypool.
Because I want Chosen in the lineup, damn it.
I mean, I want Chosen to have his revenge game. Okay. I want Chosen and Mike White to go out there and light it up. And
I'm sorry, you say Chosen and Mike White?
Yeah.
So basically, you're calling it a blowout. So whatever happened, again, you scolded me for ever qualifying anything as a get right game, and now you're talking about Mike White hitting Robbie Chosen deep.
I mean, if things go the way that they should go, this game should be done by the middle of the third quarter. Am I not correct?
Sure. I mean, it's a mismatch. Let's not kid ourselves. And Carolina's 0-5 for a reason.
They're not a very deep team.
They're not a deep team in the least, as our good buddy Skyler told us, and they have injuries, not being deep to begin with.
Yes. I'm not worried about any of their cornerbacks. I'm not worried about any of their safety play. Camus Gregoire Hill is their stud linebacker. Huh?
Bruget Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. Bruget Hill, former Dolphin.
Yeah. Like they got nothing for me. So yeah. And it was hot today in practice. Okay, it was hot. I am dying to see what the weather is like on Sunday.
I think high of 87, 40% chance of rain. And then a cold front's coming in Sunday night, where maybe it might not be 95 degrees for a change next week. Yay. I mean, man, can we get some autumn down here? Por favor.
I let it go.
You what?
I'm so used to the heat. I let it go. I mean, I gotta. What you set your AC at?
71, 72.
71. Wow, that's incredible.
What?
I'm a 75 guy.
Oh my Lord, I would die. I would die in your house. I would die in your house, especially when I sleep. During the days, doesn't make as much of a difference, but to sleep, man. We digress. We are digressing. I don't need to see Robbie. I know it's a feel good story.
Oh, a revenge game? You gonna send me for a revenge game? Like, bro, let me get a revenge game.
Come on, I'm more. What kind of storyline is that? I'm more interested in the Bama QBs going head to head than Robbie Anderson. Sorry, Robbie Chosen revenge game.
Come on, you gonna send me for a revenge game? Like, let me just get the revenge game. Then you can send me for like the next month. Like, let a brother get the revenge game.
You know, he's in trouble if they bring back Craig Kraft or Ezukama at some point, right?
I know. He's fine. He's fine. He just listen. I talked to Robbie this week. He's so happy about where he is, and this is the first time he's ever been winning. Like, think about it. Think about this, and think about this from a Chase Chase Claypool situation, where we come from a winning organization with Pittsburgh, and then you go to a losing organization, and it's just losing and losing and losing. And Robbie's had that his whole career. Think about,
Yeah, I'm going to feel a lot worse about Robbie Chosen in that vein, and I'm going to do about poor Chase Claypool if we had to endure 1 year of losing. I mean, come on. And was there not a little bit of that involved in Minkah Fitzpatrick not wanting really to stick around, asking for a trade? The fact
No.
that he didn't want.
If we're going to bring up old stuff, I don't think Minkah liked the culture of the organization. I also don't think he felt like he was a good fit in South Florida. I know Minkah didn't like the locker room, and because part of the locker room was like a bunch of guys just here trying to survive their NFL career. And then the veteran players, not going to call any names, but certain veteran players was like, oh, y'all trying to tank? I ain't playing. Like, and Minkah was like,
he also wanted no part of a rebuild. It's not kid ourselves. That was one of many factors. It wasn't.
Well, he probably would have been part of it if they actually let him play the position that he wanted to play. Maybe. I mean, that don't act like that wasn't a factor in it as well.
That was another factor. Yes, there were a lot of factors that led to him.
I mean, but look where both organizations are. Minkah is now at a worse franchise. Worst team.
Is he though?
Worst team
for this year? Yeah, but last I checked, they were both 9-8 last year. And Dolphins made the playoffs, and the Steelers didn't. But they were both 9-8. And the year before the Steelers made the playoffs, the Dolphins didn't. So, yeah, the Steelers are. I mean, tell me the last time they had a losing season.
Never under Tomlin.
Hasn't happened under Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. The Dolphins are not playing the Steelers this year. They are playing the Chiefs in a couple of weeks. I did want to mention very quickly. We're talking about teams peaking too soon. Chiefs haven't come close to playing as well as they can play. They just it seems like every game they just do just enough to win.
No, wait a minute. But then you also got to factor in everybody's coming for them. They're the Super Bowl champion. Everybody's going to be up for them.
That's been the same way for what the last 5 years since Mahomes has gone nuts.
Okay, that's fair.
Nothing's changed. The only thing that's scary about the Chiefs is their defense on a whole new
just
level.
Like teams are coming for the Miami Dolphins right now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And they'll become it even harder after this week if the Dolphins take care of their business as they should. And then next week, I'm actually looking for, I'm going to look ahead because I'm not a player. I'm not a coach. I'm going to look ahead. I am massively looking forward to next week because this game against Carolina is all great.
Game.
It's another get right game that the Dolphins logically have zero business to lose unless there are completely crazy circumstances at play. So that's going to wrap it up for this Friday, October 13th, episode 100. I told you we'd make it special. It was absolutely a banger. Or maybe it was not. Who knows?
We will see you tomorrow for a live Q&A. What time did we say? Did we come to an agreement? Something between?
I threw out 11 a.m. Did you ever confirm that?
I'm negotiating 10:30. I don't know. We'll depend. I'm supposed to go to a pumpkin patch tomorrow. So you can find us on YouTube looking for Miami Dolphins Insider. No, actually on podcast sites looking for Miami Dolphins Insiders. We'll be on the move next week, so we'll tell you how to find us eventually when we figure out a new home. We're free agents, baby.
Right. Show me the money. Show me the money.